Hi. Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that compliment. Hi, guys. This is Monday. And so that means that it's noon and it is time for lunch and learn with Yvette. So I put out a little notice earlier. Actually, I'm starting a little bit early, but we're going to go ahead and get started. So you can see how excited I am to share this information and this content with you today. So, I love you back. Send my love back to you as well. Thank you so much for the hearts. Again, guys, go ahead and share if you feel that anyone can value from this information. Today, I'm going to talk to you about how to handle rejections. And so if any of us have tried to do anything, we've had some form of rejection, no doubt. I always say if you haven't been rejected in some form or fashion, it just simply means you haven't been trying to do anything. Whether that is rejection in a relationship, you haven't reached out to try to love someone, or rejection and perhaps trying to purchase a car or a house, or rejection where it comes to just trying to grow your own career, which I talk a lot about, right? And so, because I'm definitely your career coach. But today I wanted to share with you a quick story about a client of mine, which started this in me to want to come on the Lunch and Learn and share this information with you as well. So I have this client who applied for a promotion within her current company. And I worked with her to prepare her for that. And one of the things that they wanted her to do, even though she was already a current employee, she still had to go on an interview for the position. And so we had to get her resume together and go through some coaching skills for interviewing, because she had not been on an interview in a very long time. Well, she didn't get the job. She didn't get the promotion that she wanted within her current company. And of course, she was not happy about that. And she was disappointed and she was upset. And so when I sat with her in session and we start looking at, well, why are you upset? And she said, well, I feel like I put so much of my time and I know I could do a job, and then they just rejected me like that. And so we started digging a little deeper about what rejection meant to her. Because my concern for her became this. She decided, she said this. She said, well, they obviously don't want me in management there, so I'm just going to stop trying. And that, for me personally, just pierced my heart, because I'm like, why? My thought was, why would you stop trying to achieve a personal goal simply because you didn't get the job, because someone else didn't see you in that role, because someone else didn't value you or didn't even know how to value what she was bringing to the table? So she was just going to quit even trying. And so I'm a coach, right? So I couldn't let her go out like that. So I continued to work with her, and we coached her to the place where we decided, I got her to this place where she decided to leverage the resume that we had worked on, to leverage that resume and use it, since the resume she put the effort and the time into it, and we put it on the job boards, and I made some calls on her behalf. And within 4 weeks of doing that, she was interviewing. She wanted to be a leader over a group of PMs. So I'm excited because today she's doing just that. She had to leave the current company and apply outside the company to get to where she wanted to be. So now she's leading a group of project managers. She's making more money than she did at the previous company. She feels extremely valued in her new environment, and she is really growing, and she's doing really well. What got me on this thing is that when she started, we had a session last week, and she was just talking about all this joy, and I could hear it in her voice. I was like, she would have missed all of this, if she had just caved in and quit because she felt rejected and undervalued at her previous company. So I want to jump on today's Lunch and Learn and talk to you about that, because I don't want that to happen to you. If you have a friend, a relative whom you think can benefit from this type of information, hit them up right now, guys. Because I have something that I want to share on how to move forward when you've gone through a similar situation of feeling that you've been rejected, regardless of whatever it is, and whatever arena it is in your life. The tool, the tip that I am going to share will apply in your relationships. If you feel that someone doesn't know how to love you back, and is not really loving you appropriately, and you feel rejected from that person, whether it is a parent. I have clients who it's not always about a husband or a wife or a girlfriend or a boyfriend, but have felt in relationships that they didn't get the love that they needed and deserved from even their own parents or a sibling. So that's a form of feeling rejected, especially for people who didn't grow up in a two-parent household. Oftentimes they feel rejected by their fathers. And so this tip that I'm going to share today can be applied there. It definitely can be applied in the job market when you've applied for a position and you didn't get it, or where you felt that you have bust your tail on that job, bringing top level work, and they look you over for the promotion. That's another form of rejection. I felt rejected when the first loan officer, when my husband and I was trying to build this house, and they said, oh, your debt and income ratio doesn't quite work, and they didn't approve our loan. That was 12 years ago, guys, and I've been in this house enjoying every moment here because I refuse to quit and give up on my dreams, as I'm teaching my clients not to do the same. So one thing I'll tell you guys, like I was sharing the story early when we started today on this Lunch and Learn with my client, I just refuse to let her quit. So here's the deal. I want to just give you some little nuggets as people are coming on. Hi, Ebony. Hi, Christina. I'm so glad you guys have joined. On just rejection in itself. So, once I put this notice out that we will be talking about rejection today, I used the theme of rejection can be that very thing that just take your rocket higher. It could be that motion, that energy, that fuel that just move you and propel you forward if you allow it to be. See, I see rejection as just simple information, and it's all about how you deal with that information. So Simon T. Bailey is a speaker and an author. He has a great book out called Brilliancy. I highly recommend that book. But one of the things that Simon says, right? You like that? Simon says, rejection is a gift more valuable than gold because it can shift you from average thinking into brilliancy. And it really can. If you allow rejection to be just a form of information, but not something that defines you, then you can take that and you start thinking out of the box to move yourself forward so you can achieve your goal and what you want and what you want to achieve. My pastor has said for years this phrase, and I'm sure all of you are probably familiar with that, but I'm going to say it because I like it. And that is, a setback is just a setup for a comeback. It's all about how you think and how you see that rejection. Now, one of the things my husband personally love to say when stuff doesn't go his way, he'll say, I'm allowing my haters to be my motivators. They're not going to make a decision for me. And so he used that rejection to be that energy that moves him forward. What I say is never quit until you win. And so my tip today is based off a premise that I've lived my life by. And it is this: no one can define who I am. No human being can and will define what I can and cannot have. They can't do that. I know for a fact, I am a faith-based person. I live off the Word of God, and that's where I go and I get my identity from that. And I won't allow any man, because the Word says that all men are imperfect people. So why I'm going to let an imperfect person to define who Yvette should be, what Yvette can have, and where Yvette can go. So I look at things in two categories when it comes to rejection. The first one is that there are people who have the fear of rejection. Those are the people who never even make an attempt to go and do anything because they are so afraid that if they tried, they wouldn't be successful, so they don't try at all. And I believe that person who has the fear of rejection, they think too highly of other people's opinion of them. And so I can't even, I'm going to be honest with you guys, I can't even comprehend that fear. Now, I've worked with people who have that fear, But from a personal level, I can't comprehend it. And here's why. Because I can't see myself thinking so low of myself that I put somebody else's opinion so much higher. The second area of rejection that I see is that people become sad and depressed, like I referred to my client. I didn't even talk about how emotionally broke she became because she didn't get the promotion, right, that she applied for at her own company. First of all, she was really upset that she had to apply for the job because she felt that she was already doing the job, but they made her apply for it even though she was a current employee who was already acting in that role of leading other PMs on the team. But she went through what I call the circus hoops, right, in the current company and following their rules and their processes, and she still didn't get the job. And she allowed that to just bring her spirit down. She was losing hope. And hope is just that feeling that what you desire is possible. And never allow anybody to take that feeling, that feeling of what you desire is possible for you. So, and I talked about that on yesterday when I was down at the Sightseeing Chapel Church there in Columbus, Georgia. But I haven't forgotten where I was. So the second area I see where it comes to feeling and being in a place of rejection is what I'm saying is that people just quit, as my client was preparing to do, because they didn't get what they wanted the first time they tried and they felt so rejected. And I think the problem in that scenario is that people don't understand who they are. So here it is, guys. Here's my tip. Here's a philosophy that I've lived my life by. It's quite simple. I, Yvette, Mian, Shepherd, Gavin, have an opinion of Yvette. And so I feel that most people don't have an opinion of themselves. And so people who have the fear of others not liking them or others going to reject them, then they take on that other person's opinion. In most cases, because they don't have a strong opinion of who they are themselves. And then those who get upset when they are rejected, I say, if you don't see yourself as that person that someone else saw, or if you don't devalue yourself as someone else devalued you, then there's nothing to be upset about, right? So that's why it's important for you to understand who you are. That is the basis and the foundation, no matter where the rejection is coming from. If it's a man who's rejecting you, too bad if he didn't know how to value you, right? But you need to know how to value you. What if it's a woman? I see that all the time as well, that women are also rejecting men. Same thing. What if I had given up the first time a bank said that they wouldn't extend my husband and I the loan for this property? I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have been here for 12 years. I wouldn't be enjoying this beautiful lake and these acres of land that we're on. But I am, because I didn't take that. In my opinion of Yvette and James, we were more than capable of owning this property. And so because one person said no, didn't mean that the next person was going to say no. So we kept knocking, and it only took one other banker, and then our loan was approved. So I'm saying you push on. Yesterday, because I don't allow anyone else's opinion to be higher than my own opinion of myself, I pushed on, and I found myself yesterday on a platform, stage speaking, and I was a keynote speaker. And when I came down off the stage, or I should say the pulpit in his church, my father was the first person who greeted me. And my dad embraced me. Hi, Michelle. So good to see you. My father embraced me. He gave me a hug. And he said, I'm so proud of you. You did a great job. And then as we were pulling away from our hug, he looked at me, and my dad said, and my dad is not a man to give a lot of compliments. I didn't grow up with parents who really complimented their 5 kids a lot. They taught us strong work ethics, and they taught us how to understand God and faith, but not people who really complimented their kids, right? So this was big for me. I ain't gonna lie, guys. So with that, my dad looked at me and he says, whatever you put your mind to, you do it, and you do it well. And I thanked him. I was humble. But when I was driving back up in the car with my husband, I started reflecting on the day. And I was reflecting on this time that I would be here with you today as well. And I started thinking about rejection. And it came back to me how many times I had been rejected when I've tried to get speaking engagements. I remember back in early 2000, I actually had an invitation to go speak at a local church here in Atlanta. And when I got there that Saturday morning, the parking lot was completely empty. There was nobody there. And, I saw it was no cars there, but I'm me. So I'm up, I get out of my vehicle. I had my armor bearer with me, and she and I just going all around the church, just trying to find an open door. But we could clearly see nobody was there. It was like 2 days later before I got information on what happened. They actually had canceled the event, and no one thought to notify me, the speaker. That was a feeling of rejection, because it was almost like I wasn't even important enough, right? But I refused to accept that, because I know I am important. I know my value. I know what I bring to the table. And it really was their loss. I recalled getting a speaking engagement and being paid $99. Yeah. They couldn't even come up with one more dollar to pay me or to give me or to gift me, whatever term you want to use, $100 to be a keynote speaker. I never will forget it. It was New Year's Eve, and the speaker who was on the docket to speak became ill or had something happen, and they ended up calling me at the last minute asking could I come and do it. And so I was didn't understand I'm $99, because I'm thinking anybody can pull out 4 quarters, right? And so I was talking to my spiritual coach at that time, and I shared with him the story, and he said this to me. He said, I'm very familiar with that ministry, and I know the pastor. And he said that was a message sent to you, because they really do not embrace female pastors. They don't embrace women in the pulpit. Now, did that feel like rejection? Yes, because it's sort of like it was a sting at the $99, because I've always seen myself, and I always knew I could and would be paid thousands to speak. And so I'm so grateful that I didn't just quit and see myself as less because someone else did not know how to value me. And what I want every person who hear my voice, I want you to understand this, that everyone is not going to appreciate you. Everyone is not going to value you. And if you try to achieve anything, you are going to have some bumps in the road. You're going to have some setbacks. You are going to have some rejections, but never allow those things to define who you are. You have to have a clear opinion of yourself, and never allow someone else's opinion to be greater than your own. You got to stay there. You got to stay in that place where you understand who you are and whose you are. You got to understand what your purpose, what your vision is, and why you're even trying to do what you're trying to do, why you're even trying to achieve what you're trying to achieve. I am hoping that for any of you who've ever felt rejected and you stopped, that you will pick back up and you will move forward. And keep in mind what I'm saying. You will get there when you understand who you are. Now, I do believe in the value of feedback. So I do ask for feedback. Whenever I've reached for something and I didn't achieve it on that first attempt, I always ask for feedback. So with my client that I was sharing her story earlier, early today, I asked her to go back and ask her, the person who was filling the position, why she wasn't selected. And she got feedback. And so here's the thing about feedback. I always tell people, you take feedback and you take it through a filter. Some feedback you need, and you will grow from it if you apply it. And there's other feedback. Sometimes you just got to put it through that filter, and it's not something you need to act on at that moment in time. And so you may just put it on a bookshelf. And there's other feedback that you're going to get that you're going to need to take it right onto your bathroom, put it right down in what typically is white, right down into that toilet, and let it flush on out of your life, your house, your mind, your brain, and your heart. Because not all feedback is good feedback, and not all feedback is really for you. People will have ulterior motives. So in this case, the feedback that my client got, once she sat down, meditated on it, and did an assessment, she decided that it wasn't feedback that she could act on. Because the feedback was very personal. It was very personal. So one thing that none of us can do, pretty much, we may be able to lighten our skin, but we definitely not going to be able to change the color of our skin. We may be able to go and take speech classes, as I have done, because I got feedback once, and I shared this when I was down in Houston with the Boss Network, that one of the things that motivated me, that when I was a student down at Georgia State University, and I think it's so funny because I'm going back to Georgia State next month to speak again. It'll be my second time there, and most likely will show up there 3 times this year. But I love Georgia State. You know, I love the university system here in Georgia. I think we have some great schools here. But I ran into a teacher there who said to me as a student that I should get out of the journalism program because of my black dialect. And she went on and said to me that I don't think you're going to be able to overcome that to be a journalist. Well, I can't tell you guys how bad I felt at that moment. I'm there in my early 20s, right? I didn't know what I know today about some people are just mean. So some feedback is not good feedback. And so one of the things, but I was always that girl who would ask questions. And so I did ask her. I said, well, that's why I'm here in school, so I can learn. I can learn how to overcome that. And her reply back, I don't think you're going to be able to overcome it. Well, by the time I got to my senior year at Georgia State, I had landed a full-time position at the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, which is the #1 and largest newspaper here in Georgia. It wasn't like a little country town newspaper. It was the largest newspaper. And they didn't just hire me based on an interview. I had to go through a trial. I worked there for a week alongside other students from Georgia State, because I didn't drop the program. I stayed in it. And yes, it was hard. I felt rejected from her, but I believe I could do it. That if I applied myself, I could achieve it. So here I am competing with other students who did not have a black dialect because they didn't look like this. Their skin didn't look like mine, and no one would ever accuse them of having a black dialect. But I went in and I bust tail, and I went to places where they were going, and we both, or all 3 of us, were writing stories. And they decided, the editors at the AJC decided that I would be the person who got the job based on my work performance. Don't quit, guys. And that's why my message is don't quit, don't quit, don't quit. And don't allow anyone to define who you are, what you can have, and what you can do. No one has that authority over your life to be able to do that. And again, remember, sometime one of the things I was sharing with the congregation on yesterday, and as I was talking to them about maintaining their hope and not losing that hope. Because hope it moves us forward to maintain and build greater and stronger faith. But sometimes that person who's giving us the wrong feedback could be in our bloodline. It could be a family member. It could be a friend. So it's understanding how to deal with those conversations and the information that come to you. I take it through a filter. And that's my advice to you. But a filter will never do you any good if you don't understand the foundation of having an opinion of yourself that is rooted, and I'm not talking about an opinion that is rooted in selfness. So thank you, because I had not put that in my notes. But I think it's very important. An opinion of yourself should not be based on false pride. We all know the story. Pride comes before the fall. I consider myself to be a very confident person, a very bold and strong person, but yet I am humble. I love, one of my favorite scriptures is this one: to be as gentle as a dove, but as wise as a serpent. So just because you have the spirit of humility doesn't mean that you don't have a strong opinion of yourself. It doesn't mean it's a matter of your opinion on yourself is rooted and on the foundation of what? That's what's most important. So that's the thing. And then the next thing I want to say about rejection. Sometimes we do need to go back and recalibrate. And so guys, when you get feedback that you know is really good feedback, be willing to go and make those tweaks. That's what recalibrating is all about. It's tweaking and fine-tuning some things. I call it making a radical change. And when I say radical change, I'm talking about a complete overhaul, the way you may have approached some things, the way you were thinking about some things in order to get you to where you want to be. That's being radical, just making some drastic changes. I hope, guys, that this information has been helpful, that each of you will start looking at rejection a little different and understand that first and foremost, you need to know who you are. So when rejection comes, and notice I didn't say if it comes, because if you are trying to accomplish, it will come in some form or some fashion. But it doesn't mean that you won't achieve what you desire. It's just information. So when rejection comes, you look at what the information is saying. Is the rejection information saying you need to go back and you need to tweak some things? So you need to go and get some more grooming? Do you need to get some more training? Do you need to go get help from someone, whether it's a coach or adding someone else to your personal team? Look at what the rejection is saying to you. And if that rejection doesn't line up with who you know that you are, or that rejection is devaluing what you bring to the table, then that's the rejection that you just got to push on the side, flush down that little white device that's in the bathroom, right? Yeah. Don't allow others to define who you are. Don't. You're too precious, and your mission and your purpose on this earth is too great to allow that. And when you have an opinion of yourself, you will know what the next step should be. Okay, guys, last thing is this. When you get a no, you knock on that door, then you knock on the next door. And if that door doesn't open, I heard a girl say once, and I thought it was sort of great. She said, sometime it won't be a door. She said, sometime you're going to go and you're going to create a window. And you're going to go through the window to get into that house. But the thing is, don't quit. Don't quit until you win. Okay, that's all I have for you. Let me see if there are any questions. Okay, Christina has a message here, and she says, I have truly been encouraged today. Thank you. Thank you for the feedback. I really appreciate that. I feel that my purpose in life is to encourage and motivate others so they can achieve amazing success. They can live their purpose. And so I feel like I've done what I was called to do today then. So thank you for that feedback. The question here is, do you think you should always reach out to the people or person that rejected you? I believe in feedback. So some people can't take feedback. Thank you. That's a great question. But I do, because I like to hear what they're going to say. I want you to know that all people are not honest people. So sometimes you'll get feedback, but it's really not, it's not honesty. And I'll give you an example. Now, I try to be as honest as I can with people, but when we're talking about, especially like on a job, oftentimes we are limited on how much feedback we can give. So if the reason a person didn't get a job has something to do with that could cause the company to be put in danger or jeopardize the company legally, that the person that you're asking for the feedback is not going to give you honest feedback. Now, I know that you, Christina, you're usually here on the call, so I know that you are familiar with this story. But I've worked, as a corporate executive, and I've been in situations where I'm part of an interviewing team. Sort of weird how my other device, where Periscope is on, a call came through, and it's just knocked people off. So I was trying to fix that. But the thing I was going to say is that I'm aware of situations where people were breaking federal laws, and so the decision was based on some things that were illegal, and they were some of it was, I shouldn't say, it was racial profiling, because if you're not hiring somebody simply because they look too they look too black, then there's a problem with that. But no one is going to tell you that's why you didn't get the job. I know once we were looking at a young lady, and I shared the story. She had red weaved into her hair, and you know, the committee didn't like that. They didn't think that was the image that the company, it didn't match the company image of that corporate look and very polished look. And so she didn't get the job, but she on paper, and she interviewed really well. And so she was well qualified for the position, but she didn't really, her image didn't fit into the company current culture. So nobody's going to tell her that. I can tell you that right now. So I still encourage people to ask. I always have my clients to ask, because I need to get that feedback for them so I can come up with a strategy and a plan to continue to help them move forward. So thank you for that question. I appreciate that. Hi, Martha. I'm glad you were able to join today. And I'm just going to go up. Gosh, you're speaking right to me. Hey, hashtag preach. Right on, right? Thank you, Ebony, for sharing the video. I really appreciate that. So I think that looks like I don't see any other questions here. Do you? Oh, another one. I've been encouraged. Thank you so much, because that was the goal here. Well, it is. I love it how it just always just work out where we end right at 12:30. So I've taken up 30 minutes of your time. I hope again that you've been blessed. And that you will share this information, if you have, with others who you think may benefit from it. Just want to remind you guys that Thursday is the end of the Yvette Gavin Consulting sale. So if you want to get consulting services at half price for this year only, then you need to contact the office no later than 5 p.m. on Thursday. And trust me, don't call on Friday morning because the sale is over at 5 p.m. on Thursday. And I'm really good. You know, I wasn't sure this was the timing or the season to do it. I'm so glad that we did, because quite a few people have taken advantage of the sale. And so it is giving people an opportunity to partake part of my coaching services, who may not, or felt as if they didn't have the full investment for our normal fees, so they get a chance to see what coaching is all about. And it just gives me a chance to minister to people as well. So I'm really grateful for that. If you know anyone who you feel that need coaching, whether it is marriage, relationship type coaching, or career type coaching, or spiritual coaching, let them know that they can go out to my website, send us a message through our contact page, and let us know that they're interested in taking advantage of an August sale that ends on Thursday, August 31st. Well, hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Okay? See you next week. Bye.